Hey guys, welcome back to installment number 2 of the 70s Revisited. It's where I pull a bunch of albums out of my collection that were from the 70s that possibly you know of and possibly you don't. So that is what I'm going to be doing here with the 70s Revisited. Some of these you will know, like I said. Some of them are classic, some of them are obscure. They may be, like I said, well unknown to a lot of you, but to me, I know who they are. I've been collecting them a long time, so let's get her started. First up, band out of Texas. This album came out, I want to say about 74. And first album they put out, a band called Knitzinger. Texas hard rock band. A very good band. This is a gatefold. Here's the back. Here is the original inner. 1972. This was first released. Definitely very, very killer Texas hard rock. Of course, probably more well known down in that part of the world. For the U.S., they are on the Capitol, the Red Capitol label. Probably be showing you maybe 12 albums at a time. I think the first one I did was about 12. So here, first up, band called Knitzinger, some Texas hard rock. Up next, band comes out of New York City. This was released in 1978. And may you rest in peace, Pepe Marcello, band called The Good Rats. And this album, The Birth Comes to Us All. It's on the Passport Records label. Just some killer hard rock out of the New York City area from the early 70s. I believe these guys put out 5 or 6 albums. Tasty, Rat City in Blue. I believe there's a live one. This one, Great American Cookout, I believe, is another one. And they also did some work with Tommy Bolin. They did a jam at Ebbets Field, I believe, in 1974. And the album, or not the album, but the song I believe they did was called Stratus. Very killer song with the Good Rats and Tommy Bolin. But anyway, here is The Good Rats, Birth Comes to Us All. Listen in the background, band out of Japan from 1978, I believe, called Mariner. Up next, I had this back in the mid-70s, and it was in my first collection. I sold it off. I didn't think I'd ever get this back again. And as of now, it is very hard to come by. And I'm talking about Golden Earring and this album called Hearing Earring. It is I'm trying to. It's on Track Records. This is also. Here, let me get this open here. On the back, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but up here it's all in Braille. I think it's one of the only albums I've ever come across that has Braille writing in the back. And then it has Jangaline, She Flies on Strange Wings, Silver Ships, 1,000 Feet Below. And the other night I was over on YouTube and I was watching some Golden Earring live videos, and wow, they still put on a killer show to this day. This band first came out in about 1963, 1961. 1961 this band first came out, and I believe they were just called the Golden Earring at the time, and then they changed it to Golden Earring. And but anyway, this is on Track Records. I've come across 3 copies of this over my time. Of course, you can see it's on Track Records. And this is actually from 71 and 72, I do believe. Yeah. Songs from 71 and 72 off a couple other of their earlier albums. But this compilation, you don't come by very often. This is in very good shape. I had 2 copies. I don't know if I still do or not. But I don't think I do. I think I gave the other one to one of the VC members, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, here is Golden Earring with Hearing, with the Braille writing on the back here. Band out of Canada. This album came out in 1973. Early 70s hard rock band called Hookfoot. Their album called Roaring. I believe these guys have 4 albums out. This might be their second or third on the A&M Records label. I believe they're out of Canada. But just some great Canadian hard rock from 1973. If you look hard enough, you can find some of these gems. But a lot of these I find are mostly online, Discogs mostly. I don't ever see these in used record shops. Very, very once in a while maybe I'll come across a copy, but usually those copies are so hacked up and beat up and not worth even picking up. So anyway, here's some Hookfoot with Roaring. Up next, I'm sure you guys are probably familiar with this group. If not, definitely check them out. Put out 4 albums. This is an absolute mint copy. Cover is in absolute mint shape. Band called JoJo Gun. And I believe this is their 3rd release called So Where's the Show? Came out in 1974. And of course, Jay Ferguson founded this band. Of course, he went on to a solo career. I prefer the JoJo Gun stuff more than the solo Jay Ferguson stuff. And but anyway, this is on Warner Brothers Records. Like I say, very mint cover. Actually, it's on Asylum Records. And just straightforward American 70s hard rock. And like I say, they only put, I believe 4 albums is all they put out. Good copies like this are very hard to come by. And if you do come across them, definitely pick them up. Some JoJo Gun, So Where's the Show? From 1974. Up next, compilation of probably my second favorite guitarist of all time. My first will be coming up later in the albums I show. This is a, like I say, a comp album This is actually, I had a different version of this. The cover was a little more darker. It wasn't a gloss finish on this, but I'm talking about costs. Of course, if you're not familiar with this, Paul Kossoff, originally come out of Free, went on to do some stuff with Backstreet Crawler, some solo material, and he died at an early age. I believe he was about 25, 26 when he passed away of a drug overdose. This is a gatefold. This, like I say, this is a compilation of some of the early stuff he did with Free. Of course, this has the book attached inside. Or the other one I had didn't have it. So anyway, so Paul Kossoff with Koss. And then this band come out of the Bay Area in the 70s on a label called Berserkly Records. A few bands were on that label. Greg Kinn was on that label. This band, I just can't think of a couple other bands. But anyway, I'm talking about Bay Area band Earthquake and their album 8.5. Now, as far as I know, this, I think this was a reissued second edition release. I might be wrong, but I do believe this is a second edition release from this band, Earthquake 8.5. They put out 6 albums. And of course, this has Ariel Bender, John Dunn, no, Robbie Dunbar on guitars, John Dukas on lead vocals. But just some Bay Area hard rock. They do Finders Keepers, great song. Girl Named Jessie James, great song. Little Cindy. Just some catchy hard rock tunes on this. Like I say, I believe this is a second edition. Let's check this. And here is, I believe, let me double check this. Trying to find the code. Okay, this is BZ0047, and this one is JBZ0047. This is just a single cover, where this is a gatefold edition. This is still sealed. I have not opened this. And when I came across this, I definitely knew they were both different, as you can tell by the covers. This one is more of a full cover, where this one is kind of a framed cover, as you can see right around here and then through the bottom, where this one is just a full cover edition. So definitely I don't ever come across this version anymore, but this version is the one I had first off, and I later came across this. So some Earthquake with 8.5. Up next, a band that were on the Swan Song label, and they put out 2 albums, and the band is called Detective, and this is their self-titled album, I believe from 77. Yeah, 77. Of course, Swan Song is famous for the Led Zeppelin label. There were a couple other bands on the Swan Song label. I think Pretty Things was on there, and I think another band, I just can't think of who's on there. But they were a 5-piece band. Put out 2 albums. This one, self-titled, and their second one, which is called It Takes One to Know One. Of course, this has Michael DeBarre on vocals, who later went on to become an actor, and he was actually on the first MacGyver series. He played MacGyver's nemesis. He still is acting today. I don't know if he's doing any music, but anyway, this is a great album. If you have not ever heard Detective, definitely pick it up. I think you'll be impressed with it. So here's Detective from 1977 with their self-titled album. Up next, this was a find in a bin that I don't think the guy realized that he knew what he had here. I do believe these guys are out of Canada as well. And very, very killer hard rock. And the band was called Copperhead. Self-titled release from 1973 on the CBS Records label. And I never see this ever. Like I say, it was a surprise find in a used shop. Wasn't familiar with the band. I was going through it. I came across this, went back, looked at it, looked at the back, and I figured these guys would rock, and definitely they do. Like I say, a band called Copperhead. I believe they're out of Canada, or they might be out of the New York area. Hard to remember all this stuff sometimes, but nonetheless, still great find. And I've only ever seen one copy of this, so I was happy to pick this up. Get this back in here a little bit better. Band called Copperhead. Up next, this artist, I have the most CDs, vinyl, 7 inches from this artist who is in many bands, and I had to pick this one over the first one because I think this album in particular, I think showcases more of his solo guitar technique than the first one. And of course, I'm talking about Tommy Bolin and Private Eyes. Absolutely love Tommy Bolin. I mean, the guy started in Sioux City, Iowa, migrated to Colorado, and formed one of his first bands. Zephyr, which they put out 2 albums, and later on the Tommy Bolin archives there was some live material that was put on CD. And then of course he was in Energy, he was in Alphonse Mouzon, Billy Cobham, he was in Moxie, he was in God, I'm going to forget now. James Gang, Deep Purple. Of course, Deep Purple, I think, really didn't showcase his abilities all that much, as he was so messed up with heroin that he virtually, in my opinion, doesn't remember much. But to me, that was the downfall of Tommy Bolin. But then, you know, of course, he left Deep Purple and formed the solo material, which came out, I remember the first time ever hearing it was the album Teaser. And great album, but I prefer this one just a little bit more. In my opinion, one of the best songs he ever did besides Stratus was Post Toasty. Definitely has some great guitar work on this. I mean, the guy was so versatile in his playing. He could play jazz, he could play hard rock, he could play soft rock, he could play just about any style you wanted. The guy really never got any recognition during his time, and he still doesn't today. I've read some places where some people call him an overrated guitar player, but I mean, the guy died at a young age. He died December 4th of 1976, and so in my opinion, he never really got the notoriety he deserved because he died so early. But we're just lucky to have what we do have with Tommy Bolin. There is, after his death in 76, there came out when CDs came out, there came out Tommy Bolin The Ultimate, which kind of showcased a little bit of everything from his early years. And then, of course, his brother Johnny Bolin, who had his own band called DVC, which is a very good band, by the way. He formed the Tommy Bolin Archives, which I think a lot of us are grateful for, because there was so much Tommy Bolin material out there that never really seen the light of day, and Johnny Bolin made that happen through the Tommy Bolin Archives. I do have every Tommy Bolin Archive CD that there ever was. I have some rarities that I have found. And now lately there have been a lot of vinyl releases of Energy that I just bought. It was released last year on Record Store Day that I absolutely had to get it. I did get it. But anyway, this one here is a store release, and I found another copy of this one, which this is a demo, which is not for sale. So I got 2 copies of this particular album. It's a shame that we lost him so early. The guy was so talented, but still, nonetheless, we do have a lot of good music from him, and I hope you definitely appreciate or got a chance to hear a lot of his material. Last one, band out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. As far as I know, they put out 2 albums. Been trying to find the other one, which was called Bad Boy. And this one here is Bad Boy. It's self-titled, or excuse me, the band that made Milwaukee famous. And this was released in 1977. And just some great upper Midwest hard rock. And I do need the other one. But the last rock and roller great tune. They do a song on here called Disco, which bashes the disco scene. And then one song called Watching You. But great band out of Milwaukee. And actually, I do believe they are still doing shows. So anyway, band called Bad Boy out of Milwaukee. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to installment number 2 of the 70s Revisited, and join us next time with this.